Did you see this yesterday? This was neat, huh? Isn't the government payroll awesome? Isn't it great that some of those protest organizers were able to lead all those people without brains around the area yesterday and just shut down mall after mall after mall? And it wasn't like they were just shutting down little tiny ones. They shut down the biggest one in the area, the Galleria, the one off the major interstate there. It's huge. They shut it down. And what's neat is there's conflicting reports saying that it's either closed temporarily or it's closed indefinitely. Isn't that fun? Isn't that great? And look at this. County police say West Florissant will be closed off from 5 p.m. till 7 a.m. each night, presumably to prevent any further acts of violence or looting. Really? I wonder how long that's going to go on for, because it doesn't say. This is called martial law. It's what it is. They start doing stuff like this, yep, or stuff like this, straight up telling you, hey, this is now considered an unlawful assembly. Can't protest here. So, because there are peaceful people. That's the thing about this. You got to be careful with this stuff because it can be discouraging. But there are some really great things that are taking place. You got people supposedly forming human chains around buildings and stopping looting and violence happening to those places. You got all sorts of volunteers, young, youthful, I'm hearing and seeing. Young people volunteering because they said they don't want the world and the country to think that all of them are like that. That every young person out there, all the youth are just nothing but violent thugs. They want something for nothing. So there's a lot of great things that are coming out of this, but unfortunately, you're hearing more about this crap than that. But that's okay. I'm just saying that so people don't get discouraged because there's no reason to. Because as much evil and darkness is coming, there's a big light that's about to shine on all this stuff that's going to give them hell. Since they want to open the Stargate and bring it to us, we can give it right back to them, and we're going to. Here's a post from Craigslist. Don't know how true it is, but I believe it because I've seen the videos of the protests and the Black Friday shoppers and just the frenzies and the mayhem that takes place. Children at mall swarmed by haters. A group of children ages 7 to 10 were singing carols for the shoppers at the mall. The frenzied swarm of liberal thug haters surrounded the children and frightened them. The responsible adults said they were all crying as they were evacuated from the mall as quickly as possible. The thugs hatefully, selfishly, and horribly pushed the children out of their way, screaming chants and flopping around on the floor for another self-centered screaming die-in. I'm quite sure they made enemies out of each and every parent of a crying, terrorized child tonight. Many people are very resentful of their horrid bully tactics to steal the show from children singing songs with previous permission. Now, do we have proof other than this that happened? No. But do I believe it? Yeah. You can call me just a cherry picker or believe what I want to believe? Sure. You can try to tell me stuff like this didn't take place yesterday? They weren't pushing kids around. They weren't screaming in their faces. Just like whenever they brought the tanks in 2 years ago, this stuff wasn't going to happen, right? Sure. And what's amazing to me about that, what's even more sad, I haven't heard one person make that connection yet. I haven't heard one person in this area say, you know, it's really odd that 2 years ago they brought the military tanks in from Maryland and they said they were just using them from driver's ed. And literally, 2 summers later, this is what's going on. This is when it started. 2 years later, 2 summers later, this started. Not one person has made that connection that I've talked to. And in fact, what's even worse than all of that, the guy that I told you that I work with, that works for the hospital and stuff, said the fire department, they didn't want to intervene whenever they started lighting the fires because they didn't want to waste the resources and there was no point in them responding. That's what he said. Really? So in August, when all that stuff happened, they had 3 months to prepare for this stuff, and they didn't do it. Because that's one that I've been told that by a couple different people. Oh, they didn't have the power. They didn't have the manpower. What did they do for 3 months? How long do they need to prepare for stuff like this? And on the other side of the coin, so what does that mean? So that means the mob comes in and they just they start a couple fires and the fire department just stands down and says, well, let it burn. That's what happens? Really? So it sounds like to me that maybe, well, never mind, because then I'll get people saying, whatever. This is what happens. This is how stuff happens. It's whatever. I'm done. So I just wanted to show this to everybody. Thanks for watching. Please be safe to the people that live in the area. If you see anything, please let me know. I'll report on it. I'm expecting blackouts. I'm expecting curfews. we'll see what happens. So please be safe. Thank you for the continued support from the subs out there. See you later.